Hello, dear spa owners. I am so glad you are joining me today on Spa Business Mastery Podcast. So, my topic today has to do with hiring. That has been a bit of a theme this month. And a few weeks ago, I was specifically talking to solo spa owners who were thinking that they're ready to hire. But this week, I want to talk to my spa team owners because you already have a team. And if you are unaware of a few kind of points about recruiting and hiring in terms of like when is the best time and kind of how to prepare, you may inadvertently be making some mistakes with your hiring. And the fact of the matter is, and I've done this too, more than one occasion, it's, hiring is expensive. And when we make a mistake in the hire, whether it's the person that we've actually hired, they just weren't the right fit, or we weren't really as prepared as we thought we were, it can add an exponential amount of stress to an already very stressful situation as a spa owner. So let's dive in and talk about, when do you know you're ready to hire? Because I feel like, I've been in the industry for a really long time, almost 30 years. And since social media has been around, I do a lot of listening on, especially on a lot of Facebook groups. And what I notice is that when we feel like we're ready, like we think we're ready to hire, there's usually some things happening that kind of prompt us. And it prompts us to either kind of feel in a bit of a panic. And what I mean by that is like, clients are calling, consumers are calling, wanting to book appointments, and it seems really busy and you can't seem to get them in, and you feel like you're turning away a lot of consumers. So that can trigger this like, sense of urgency, like, oh, we're losing money, we're losing opportunity. I really need to get onto the hiring process here. And with that sense of urgency, sometimes we're making mistakes and not really thinking critically before we jump into that hiring process. So if you think you're busy and need it to hire a new team member, what I want you to do is to make sure you truly are that busy. And that means to look at your booking data. So there is a metric in the spa industry called productivity, and that is essentially just how the percentage booked the spa is. Now, when you have a team, you want to look at this metric two ways. You want to look at it as from the spa as a whole, but you also want to go into your reports for your team members and look at their productivity metric for each person. Because even if the spa as a whole is tracking fairly well, especially if you have some estheticians that aren't performing as well as they should be, there's usually there's a hole in the bucket, and there could be one, maybe two, or even more estheticians that when you look at their productivity and they're not as booked as they should be, considering the training that they've had and the time that they're there, it's time to do some investigative work before you start hiring. Because there's something going on with that team member or team members, and you want to fix it so that you're not repeating the same situation with a new hire and then finding yourself in the same situation where you have a bunch of estheticians. Some of them are performing really, really well and essentially carrying the business, and some are not performing well at all. So before you dive into your recruiting process, analyze your productivity and each team members to make sure that you don't have any gaps and holes, that you could actually spend some time brushing up on training with those people, and just kind of figuring out where the gap is. Maybe they're struggling with the conversation about how to talk about skin or spa in order to be able to, recommend retail or a future treatment plan. Perhaps they actually need some more hands-on training. Perhaps they're talking about too much personal stuff in a treatment room, and things can go awry and clients don't come back, and that person just isn't as booked as they should be. So, when I said at the beginning, like hiring is a lot of work. It's expensive. And, before you jump into recruiting again, why don't we make sure that what we've got is efficient and optimized so that it's efficient and optimized, and we're not wasting energy going into that recruiting and hiring process. And then the training process. So it's a lot of energy output for you, dear spa owner, or your spa manager. So let's just make sure we've got things optimized before we hit that button to recruit. Okay, so the other time when you're thinking, when should I prepare for my next hire? And I'm coming across this fairly often, is when you are a spa owner who is still in the treatment room full time and you have a team. Now, if you are in the situation, you most likely are feeling like a hot mess because you feel like you can't keep on top of everything and keep track of everything and be working on growth initiatives. And the truth is it's true. You don't have enough time if you are still in the treatment room full time and trying to run your business. As much as you want to be working on clients, if there's a moment as a spa owner where it's kind of a bit of a come to Jesus moment, what do I want from this business? Is it that I really truly want to be working one-on-one with clients? That's my thing. Or are you kind of maybe stuck in this little spot where you haven't shifted out of service provider mindset into your leadership mindset? Now, if you are wanting a spa that has a team and to grow as a team, then the fact of the matter is that your leadership needs you out of the treatment room, guaranteed. Even, the only kind of situation where I could see this working is if you had a really, really strong spa manager who was absolutely on board with your vision and all of it. That could work. But most of the time, it's very difficult to find spa managers that have the same kind of gumption and get up to go with your business. So, I'm not saying you can't have a spa manager. I'm just saying that they're sometimes difficult to find. And the reality is, as an owner and a leader, you need out of the treatment room to have time to spend on the visionary aspect as well as the admin aspect of your business. Otherwise, there's just tasks and things and growth initiatives that will never, ever get done. And it's really frustrating for you. I know. I've actually spoken to 3 spa owners this week already who are in this exact same position. And the piece about kind of wanting to stay in the treatment room, it's about being stuck as a service provider. There's a little bit of an ego thing happening there as well. And I urge, if you're in this position, I urge you not to get upset when you hear this, but to get curious about that concept. That is my ego, getting stroked by being in the treatment room. Is this how I'm trying to fill myself up with my passion? And if we can have an honest conversation with ourselves, and it is the fact that, we love our clients and we want to be with them and they love us and it feels good to be together. That's all great, but that doesn't help to run a really great, epic spa business in the big picture. So sometimes we just have to make decisions about what do we want more. And you may just need a little bit of time to think about that. Okay. When is another time as a team should you prepare to hire? Okay, this is one of the biggest ones, is that when you can afford it. Oh gosh, again, so many spa owners jump into recruiting and hiring without having a really solid compensation plan in place. A lot of times owners are simply following what they kind of grew up with in the industry, which is straight commission. Historically, it's been straight commission. Historically, it was 50% commission for a really long time. And gosh, if you are one of those spas that are still paying 50% commission, it's time to really look at some exercises, getting your cost per service figured out, because at 50% commission, then you have to, there's money that you need to put away for taxes. There's money that you need to that you have to pay for overhead expenses. And wouldn't you, dear spa owner, love to take a paycheck? Well, at 50% commission, that's really difficult to cut out all those pieces of the pie. So if you're paying more than 35% commission, it's pretty tough to stay profitable. My go-to compensation strategy and plan is hourly, because then you can control your fixed expenses for labor with a small commission that's based on performance. So if you don't have your commission structure mapped out already, like a really good one that allows you to be profitable, allows you to take a wage, then you're not quite ready to hire. You need to kind of, as they say, get your poop in a group and figure out, either with a business coach or your accountant, what is a compensation structure that will support my business growth. Okay. Now, another piece about being able to afford a new team member is to basically put away some what you figure your labor costs would be now before you even are starting the recruiting process, so that you are taking that money into consideration, that new payment into consideration with your cash flow. So tuck it away every 2 weeks, just like you would be paying a new employee, and put in a savings account. And then that way, when you've hired that new employee, you do have like a little nest egg for their payroll, so it doesn't hurt quite as much. But it will allow you to make sure that you are getting in the habit as a leader in your business in terms of a team, to make sure you can afford this new expense. Because as much as we would love a new seasoned esthetician to come into our business and just pick up the slack and go, we know that doesn't normally happen. So why don't we just be honest about what normally happens and make sure that we've got enough money to be able to pay out our payroll every 2 weeks. Okay, so now I just want to make another little point about compensation. And the reason, not only is it hard to control your labor costs with compensation, because it depends on the bookings for that 2 weeks, right? So payroll goes up and payroll goes down. And while as a new spa, sometimes you guys like to use straight commission because you can't afford to pay hourly. I'm going to tell you, if you are new to a team and you're listening to this podcast right now, it will come around and bite you in the butt. Okay. You'll get to a point with compensation, with your commission structure, that, they're starting to get booked and busy. But if you do a price increase, all of a sudden they get a pay increase, but maybe parts of their performance don't garner a wage increase. The other thing about straight compensation or straight commission is that it really does, it doesn't reward the kind of team behavior that you want. It rewards more of an individualistic behavior. Like, this is, I don't get paid if I'm not with a client. I hear this a lot, where owners are frustrated. Why won't they clean? We need everybody to chip together. Well, if people are on commission, they tend to think that they don't have to. So that's, again, another point why I really prefer having a hourly wage plus a small type of commission based on performance, kind of like a sliding scale. All right. So if you are a spa team owner and you've got a team and it feels like a hot mess, and yet you're, trying to figure out how to get more team members on board so you can serve more clients, I urge you just to pause for a hot minute and really go through all of these points, listen to this podcast again, write notes, and then dig into each one of those points to make sure that you truly are, you're ready and needing to start the recruiting and hiring process. So you're not wasting time. Gosh, you're busy enough. Okay, that is it for today's Spa Business Mastery podcast. I'm so glad you joined me. If you enjoyed listening to our content today, I would love it if you left a review on wherever you are listening from. And I will be here not next week, but the week after, talking about spa owners and how to heal a depleted heart, because Lord knows it's been a rough year for us with COVID, right? Okay, we'll see you then.